Have you ever struggled with getting time stretching right on your MPC? Especially with vocals and layering loops that fit perfectly. In this video, I'll reveal a game-changing hack that is so easy to do. It's just that you probably wouldn't have thought about doing it this way. And I only came across this idea because I was finishing up this beat in FL Studio. So this is what I started out with. Now let's hear what the loops I added in FL Studio. So before I show you this technique on the MPC, we're first going to break down how I time stretch these loops in FL Studio and then apply it to the MPC. So you want to make sure you watch this whole video so you understand why this works. So for the vocal chop, this is the actual loop. Do we do this often? That sounds cool, so just drag this out. Now in FL Studio, once you drag it onto the playlist, my technique is that if it's close to 8 bars, which this will be the 8 bar length right here, so from here to here, then I'm extended to the 8 bar. But if it was like shorter like that, then I'll probably just extend it to the first bar. So it's whatever is close to, that's how I go about it. And then I just go here and see in FL Studio, all I have to do is just go to this time and then just stretch it all the way to make it 8 bars. And then the whole thing is just locked. It's just that simple. So from here, all I have to do now is just take that first part that I wanted, and it's just that simple. That's how I came up with this part right here. Now for the next loop, it's like the same situation. So once again, you can see that it's close to this 8 bar length and stretch it out. And this is also already in the key. And then I just took the first initial part that I like. So you see how easy it is to time stretch on a DAW versus the MPC? Now we're going to see how we can apply this concept on the MPC. Now before we dive into the MPC, just so you're aware, I do have an ebook that is out and it's called Sauce It Up, and it's pretty much all the secret sauce on the MPC from all my YouTube shorts that I combined and made it organized, so you don't have to go on YouTube and try to search through all the shorts because there's a lot. Especially I got part 2 coming out soon. If you haven't got part 1, I highly recommend getting it because once part 2 comes out, having those 2 ebooks is really the sauce to all together. You're not gonna find anything like this anywhere else because I combine all these little tips from a lot of people I learned from, tutorials I learned from, and other sources. And also, if you find value in my video, this is a great way to support the channel. Now back to the video. So here's the same vocal loop. The tempo is 91, even though this says 93. What you can do to double check it is just go to the second screen over here. You may not see it, but right here in the middle it says detect BPM. So we're just gonna do that and then press detect. So it says it's 93. At the same time, if you go to process and then you actually go to time stretch, then you just go to the amount of bars that is reasonable. And by reasonable, I mean if the sample itself is saying 91, we want to at least get close to that. So here we go, 48, and if I have it at 49 beats, then it'll be 92.90. But I know it's not going to be 49. It's going to be 48 because that's what the sample is saying. So this is another way you can just kind of double check. So from here now, you know, I want to put it to 98. Because that's the tempo of the beat that I made. This is the equivalent of being in here and having this sample loop and stretching it to the tempo. It was like this, so we had to put it at the right tempo. So then we should be able to do the same, right? So let's press do it. So since we stretched it now, we're just going to take out that first part that we want. Then from here, I want to process this, and then you can either discard it, but I just actually wanted to extract it. And we could just name it Hook Vox Chop. Do it. Now if we go to that chop now, it says it's at 121.55, some crazy stuff. But just go along with it. We're just going to trust the MPC. And we're going to go to time stretch. And as you can see, yours might say like 400 or some crazy number, because remember, we went all the way up to like 48. So you just want to bring it all the way back down to a reasonable number. And the reasonable number is the tempo that the MPC is giving you. So it says it's giving us 121. We're just going to go back and put 98 again. Press do it. Now, if we go back to our grid view, it should play just like how this is playing right here. So yes, we got it stretched properly, but it still doesn't sound like the one in FL. So from here, I'm thinking like, damn, I got close enough, you know, where I got it time stretched properly, but I don't have it time stretched to where it has that swing. And I'm only calling it swing because of how it's stretched a little. It gives it a bit more of a groove. The next step that you want to do is go to main and go to warp samples. We actually going to use warp this time. You know, I usually don't really use warp to time stretch, but in this instance, let's hear how it sounds. So we're not going to change nothing. We're going to keep that tempo that was previously for the chop before we put it to 98. So we're not going to change this to 98. We're going to keep it the same. And then now let's play it. So you might like it without the warp, but to me that's a bit fast. I still like the swing. Like when it slows down at that part. So now for the second loop, remember, we got to put the whole loop to the tempo of our project. And notice how this one is saying 65 and this one is saying 130. Now this is where it gets tricky, because if you go to the second screen, you can divide it by 2 to match the 65, but we don't want to do that, because if we put it to 65 and then put it to 98, it's going to speed it up. We actually want to slow it down. Let's keep going until we get to a reasonable number, which is the 130. So that's like 72 beats. And we're going to change this to 98. Press do it. Now this is going to take a while, but trust me, it's worth it. So then we have something like this. Yes, we wanted that slow. If we did it the other way, where this was 65, it would be a lot faster. I'm just going to discard this one. Now we got that same tempo again. We want to go to time stretch again. Bring it down to a reasonable number. You see how high we are with our numbers. We're actually going to go to 8 this time. And the reason why I'm choosing 8, because let's detect the BPM. Let's see what it says. It says 84. So that's why from here, 84. I'm going to just change it to 98. Do it. And then I'm going to just assign this. And let's hear it. So yes, this hack is a bit weird that you gotta take these kind of steps, but if it works, man. I'm not complaining about it. I'm glad to at least find a way of understanding, like, okay, if I'm going to stretch out the sample, let me at least stretch out the whole loop to the tempo first, and then cut what I want, and then re-stretch it again. So that's pretty much the whole concept. So if you like this video, like and subscribe and share with your other producer friends. Peace.